5 Crazy Theories and Conspiracies Regarding Mars. Number 5. Is Phobos really a space station? When the European Space Agency stated that one of Mars's moons, Phobos, appeared to be hollow, it mirrored the findings of Russian astrophysicist Dr. Iosif Shklovsky from the late 1960s. Not only did Shklovsky believe that Phobos was hollow, but taking its unusual and uneven orbit into account, he believed there was a real possibility that it was artificial. Over the years, many ufologists, alien enthusiasts, and even ancient astronaut theorists have latched onto Shklovsky's findings. One of the main theories to come out of this fringe group of thinkers is that Phobos was placed in orbit, and is in fact an ancient space station of sorts, possibly used as a jumping-off point for space missions or as an early warning device for things like asteroids. More mainstream thinking surmises that the hollowness could simply be water or other liquid trapped within the Martian moon. Another possibility is that when Phobos was formed from multiple large asteroid fragments, natural voids were formed within the structure. Phobos is more akin to a floating pile of rocks, as opposed to a real-life, potato-shaped Death Star. There have been numerous attempts to send probes to Phobos, but strangely, all have encountered various systems failures, which have ultimately resulted in their missions not being completed. To some, this isn't coincidence, and it not only suggests that Phobos is some kind of orbiting artificial structure, but that it is still active. Number 4. The Sphinx and Pyramids of Mars. Not only does a sphinx allegedly sit on the surface of Mars, but it sits right in front of what some say are pyramids. Although mainstream researchers and experts state that the pyramids are just naturally formed mountains, some believe that the precise measurements and perceived dimensions of the structures makes them exactly that, structures. The possibility that they are volcanoes is also highly unlikely, as the only known volcanic region of Mars is in the Tharsis region, which is 3,200 kilometers away from the pyramid's location in Cydonia. So, if there really are a Sphinx and pyramids on Mars, are they connected in any way to the Sphinx in Egypt and the Giza pyramids? As you might have guessed, some people very much believe so. They argue that Cairo's name in Arabic, Al-Kahira, directly translates to either the victorious, or perhaps more interestingly, the place of Mars. It's also claimed that the Sphinx at Giza was once painted red. As a final piece of evidence, it is noted that there appears to be increased amounts of rock in the area in front of the alleged pyramids. Are they merely natural stones and boulders? Or are they perhaps rubble from the collapsed buildings of an ancient civilization? Some have even studied aerial shots of Cydonia and believe that they've not only spotted a third pyramid, but that the 3 pyramids on Mars appear to match the layout of the pyramids of Giza. NASA states that since parts of the pictures are blurred, people experience pareidolia, seeing defined objects in what are actually nothing but random patterns and shapes. Number 3. Project Red Sun, the secret manned mission to Mars. According to a story that first appeared in 2011, there was a secret mission in the 1970s to set up a base there. Following Apollo 17, the last manned moon mission, NASA allegedly began to conduct secret space missions. One of them, Project Red Sun, was said to be a joint US and Soviet mission to ultimately begin the colonization of Mars. A first group was said to have arrived at the Red Planet in late 1971, in what was essentially an information-gathering mission. The second mission was claimed to have launched in August 1973 aboard the ISV Columbus and to have featured 2 U.S. astronauts, Commander Elliot See and pilot William Rutledge, and a Russian cosmonaut, Vladimir Ilyushin. A purportedly leaked video appeared on YouTube, alleged to be a NASA training video containing 16mm film of Project Red Sun. There is obvious debate as to its authenticity. A vast majority of people believe it to be a hoax, albeit a very good hoax, to say the least. The story was reported on by Italian UFO researcher Luca Scantamburlo, and his whistleblower appeared to be Rutledge, the pilot of the 1973 Red Sun mission. Rutledge also spoke of several other top-secret projects, including one that discovered an alien base on the Moon. Number 2. NASA employee witnesses men walking on Mars in 1979. In 2014, a woman, who identified herself only as Jackie, called the radio show Coast to Coast AM. She claimed that men walked on Mars in 1979, and what's more, she had witnessed it. Jackie claimed that her job was to download telemetry data, and that she was part of NASA's downstairs team. While she was doing her job, she claimed to have witnessed men walking on Mars via NASA's live feed. She stated they were both dressed in spacesuits, although they were not the bulky type that we would expect to see. According to Jackie, they came walking over the horizon and toward the Viking Explorer. Jackie also claimed that 6 other NASA employees witnessed the incident with her. When they rushed upstairs to speak to the people directly in charge of the mission, they found that the door had been locked and that paper had been taped over the door windows to block their view of anything that might be happening in the room. So far, none of the other alleged 6 employees have come forward to corroborate Jackie's claims. Number 1. Gilbert Levine suppressed life on Mars test. According to Gilbert Levine, he proved that there was life on Mars back in 1976, and he has been trying to prove that he proved it ever since. An experiment called Labeled Release was performed by the first Viking rover that landed on the Red Planet. Levine claims that using methods that were pre-approved and accepted by NASA, his experiment positively identified organic life in soil samples taken shortly after touchdown. However, because 2 other experiments done at the same time didn't match his positive result, Labeled Release was essentially buried. Although not directly endorsing Levine, Chris McKay, an employee of the NASA Ames Research Center, stated that the 2 other tests that NASA carried could very well be flawed. He noted that a test carried out in the Atacama Desert in Chile using exactly the same equipment showed that there were no organic molecules present, even though it's known that the soil there does contain organic life.